Whenever you're ready.
Okay. Who has ever wanted to be a celebrity or an athlete? Or who's ever met a celebrity or an athlete? Okay. Well, I have been really lucky, actually, to have an athlete, like a professional athlete, actually, in my family. And that's who I'd like to speak about today and inform you guys over. His name's Jim Golden. A little background of Jim Golden. He's actually my great-great-grandpa. So I've been lucky enough. He's been alive since I was, he's been there all my life. But he was born in Eldon, Missouri. Parents of Archie and Mildred gave birth to him on March 20th of 1936 in Eldon, Missouri. He's the youngest of two brothers, Lonnie and Rick. And when Jim was 2, they moved to Silver Lake, Kansas, where he stayed at and finished high school at. And a little fun fact, Jim actually is a professional baseball player, but in high school when he was playing sports, he actually received 12 Division I offers to play football and punt. And a notable college team, the University of Kansas and Missouri, wanted him to play both punter and pitch, so they wanted him from 2 sports. But that's a little background about him. I kind of want to just inform you over 3 little things: his passion for the game, his greatest game in his eyes, and just the overall career. Jim became passionate about baseball when he was very young. I actually had an in-home interview with him. I went there one weekend and had an interview with him, and he basically was telling me that his dad, he'd work 12 hours, and it was hard when he was growing up, so they would have to work that amount. But he said his dad would he'd work 12 hours and then just come home and teach them baseball, and that's kind of how it all started. He wanted to make his dad proud because his dad loved the game. So he began to play, and he didn't really realize that he would go anywhere professionally until his junior year, when him and his older brother Lonnie won the state championship his junior year, and then he went on to win it again his senior year. So he loved the work you had to put in and stuff for the game, and he just loved everything about it. There was so much that you had to learn, and it just wasn't off of pure luck. Like you had to be skilled, and he liked that a lot. So he became very passionate for it. But now we're going to go into the greatest game he pitched in his eyes. Now, when he played, it was obviously none of us were alive, but he pitched against a very good pitcher. He actually was inducted into the Hall of Fame, but his name is Don Drysdale. And they were actually teammates his first year in the major leagues for the Dodgers, but then there was an expansion draft, which kind of means just like all contracts are just expired, and it's basically just like a fantasy draft. Like you're going to get picked up by whatever organization wanted you, and we don't see that. Like we haven't seen that for a while. But back when he played, that's kind of how it went. But he scored. He pitched a full 9-inning game against him. He went head to head with him, and he outdid him. He scored one of the 2 runs his team had. It was a 2-0 game, so he got his first career shutout. And it was just kind of, to him, it was one of those things that he showed that he belonged in the major leagues, and he could pitch with the best of the people, and he showed that to everyone that day. Now, a little overall career. Jim, he was drafted in 1958 to the Philadelphia Phillies. And according to Dick Schneider of Topeka Daily Columnist, when Jim just signed with the Phillies, Jim won his final high school game on a Saturday. graduated the following Monday, and had 7 professional ball clubs at his house the next day, so the following Tuesday. And Dick Snyder is very credible for his thousands of baseball articles and Topeka athletes, and how he talks about a lot of the really good athletes going on and like moving to the next level. So he's very credible. The Philadelphia Phillies, his first team was like a farm league team, and Jim was drafted to the Phillies farm team for $7,000. That was his contract. But according to Mark Simon, a sports reporter for SABR, Society for American Baseball Research, the Cleveland Indians actually wanted to sign him for more money, but in that time period, I mean, they had to meet in person to actually talk. They didn't do much over the phone conversation, or they would write letters, but it was first come, first served really for him, because he wanted to be able to support his family like his dad had supported them all of his life. And then he got signed with his first major league contract with the LA Dodgers, September 30th, 1960. He spent a year with them. Then the expansion draft happened the following year. Then he was drafted to a very historical team, the Houston Colts, the 45s. They're no longer a thing, but actually they're now the Houston Astros. But a little fun fact: both teams that he played for in the major leagues were just in the World Series. So that's a little cool thing. He actually called me and was very excited about that. But after his second year with the Colts, he actually ended. His career ended shortly. He torn his labrum, and back then the doctors really didn't know much about it. So he kind of just had to give up a dream. But to me, he's really inspiring for the fact that he's from Elton, Missouri, which, if anyone knows, that's a really small town in Missouri, and he made it to one of the most historic franchises of the LA Dodgers and got to play on a very once-in-a-lifetime cool Houston Colts. So even after baseball, he's still a huge inspiration for me. He worked for Goodyear and did tires for about 30 years, and he's still very much into the game of baseball, but more for the fact of the management and the moves and stuff. He doesn't play anymore, but he definitely does like watching it still. But pretty sure this is my left. Yeah, that's my left side. But today we talked about Jim Golden. I got to inform you guys about him, just how he became passionate for the game, his best game in his eyes, and just his overall career. And that's it.
Awesome, great job.